Joining us once again on MSUEagles.com is the athletic director at Morehead State University, Brian Hutchinson. And Brian, thanks for your time. We caught up with you earlier in the week to cover many topics as we review the previous school year and look ahead to 2012-2013. In today's segment, I wanted to chat with you a little bit about the personnel we mentioned and referenced. That is a big part of your job, is managing and overseeing all hires and just overall functionality of the athletic department. You refer to it as your senior staff. You've got some good right-hand men and a good right-hand woman. Wanted to talk a little bit about Richard Fletcher and kind of his role evolving, and then a couple people have been promoted, Sarah Larson and Jamie Carver, and then Darian Westerfield being added to the staff here in the last 12 months.
Well, we had went all last summer without any personnel changes at all. And then the end of July, beginning of August, about a 10-day period, we lost 6 staff members to different positions, which was frustrating, but at the same time you look at it and say, well, we've got good people that have opportunities to move into some other situations that for whatever reason are better for them. So we looked internally first and we said, what can we do? We were opening the new Eagles Center, which is our academic enhancement center for student athletes. Sarah Larson's background in terms of her educational training and some of the roles that she had taken on with being our senior woman administrator really lent itself to directing that facility and that whole academic enhancement student welfare program. We were able to move Sarah into that role. By virtue of that, Jamie Carver was primed for a position to be our assistant AD for sports medicine and assistant AD and director of sports medicine. So he's been here for a long time and really has earned that opportunity. So those were sorts of somewhat simpler things to do, but then we had to go outside and look at some other people. Darian Westerfield took over, I think, in September as Assistant AD of External Affairs. And Darian's charged with lots of things. It's kind of a broad notion, but his primary focus is generating revenue and strategies to do that. So whether it be through development activities or through corporate partnership activities, helping manage our brand so that we're positioned, all of course leading back to revenue. And then he obviously has some internal, when a staff our size, you have to have people that are talented at lots of things. So Darian has some internal things as well, but been very pleased with his professionalism, the experience he brought to the table, coming to us from Indiana State. Been around lots of places, including Western Kentucky, quite a bit earlier in his career. So we're happy that Darian is here. He's doing an outstanding job, and I expect that lots of folks, if they haven't met Darian yet, will have that opportunity this year as we begin to do quite a bit more outreach and just connecting with folks that we hope have interest in supporting our programs.
And your Senior Associate Athletic Director, Richard Fletcher, has obviously been around the program for quite some time, but continues to take on responsibility and obviously came up in the athletic training department and is now the head of compliance. And I know you lean on him for a lot of different things. If you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, he's really my right-hand man, and I'm just so appreciative of the care that he has, what I believe is personal, but also about our department. Richard's mindset and his skill set as a trainer and in running that operation is very similar to the kind of mindset that you have to have in a compliance operation. How you go about it's different. The knowledge base is a bit different. But Richard's extraordinarily bright. He's a tireless worker, and what I've seen from him is just particularly early, the learning curve was just really steep on some of the rules and how we went about our business in that area. And that continues to evolve, and it changes. Really, it changes drastically for us every year. So he stays on top of all of that from a compliance standpoint. But being a senior associate AD takes a lot of other things. In many cases, he's representing me as the director of the department whenever I'm doing other things. And I just don't have any concerns about giving Richard any of that responsibility or him just taking it on. I trust him implicitly in all of those roles. And it is invaluable to someone like me to have someone like Richard, or to have Richards, not just someone like Richard, in that role, sort of watching your back and making sure that things are happening as they should. And it's not easy to be a Division I institution right now with all of the things that you have to keep track of, and hopefully some of that's changing for the better when it comes to that. But as long as it is like it is, Richard wants that job, it's his. I'll put it that way. He's doing a great job.
Brian Hutchinson, the athletic director at Morehead State University, joining us today on MSUEagles.com. And Brian, we spoke in the last video a little bit about the transition of men's basketball and your excitement with Sean Woods and his new staff coming into place. In the last 12 months, you've also attracted a couple high-quality coaches in the areas of track and field, cross country with Brent Erickson, and also David Williams taking over the softball program here at MSU. If you could maybe give us another nugget or two about Sean and then talk about Brent and David.
Well, Sean, clearly has his work cut out for him. We have high expectations in our basketball program. It is absolutely a revenue producing program, and I think a lot of people know about Morehead State because of the success we've had in basketball, not only recently, but go back lots of years. So he knows that. He's excited about it. I'm excited about it, and we're working very well together to sort of reach our mutual goals and our institutional goals. As to Brent Erickson, a lot of people don't know Brent. Cross country and track aren't sports where a lot of spectators get to watch them. All of their competitions are away. What people should know about Brent, though, is he's two times in his career he's won a national championship as a head coach. He has been an Olympic coach, and we came here with I think in the last part of August or first part of September. I think it was last part of August. And basically, we were getting ready to run our first cross-country meet. He wasn't able to recruit. He wasn't able to do any of that. But by his development of our young people all year long, Brent, those young people set 10 school records just this year, just with his training and his ability. And everyone's times improved dramatically. Our throws improved as well. So he is a very, very good coach. And we've got to be sure that we do the kinds of things to keep him here by giving him better facilities and just more to have things to be able to be better from a resource standpoint or just to sustain that. But we're very excited about Brent being here and his leadership. David Williams, our softball coach, was highly successful as a Division II coach at Mars Hill College in North Carolina. The profile when Coach Bruder left a year ago, we really felt like we wanted a head coach coming in to the program. We didn't talk to exclusively head coaches because we wanted our options open, but I thought that someone who's run their own program and had a lot of success doing it, maybe at a place without resources or without the kinds of resources I think that we have, could step into this and not have too much difficulty transitioning into that. There's obviously, anytime you make a coaching change, there are cultural changes with that. David had a tough season this year, but we did see sparks of improvement, lots of improvement in some areas. And I think with the recruiting class that we've signed this year, I think that we're on our way to being very, very competitive in our league.
Brian Hutchinson, the athletic director at Morehead State, with us today on MSUEagles.com. Brian, I wanted to kind of touch on the topic of attendance. There's obviously multiple ways that a Division I athletic department brings in revenue and keeps its head above water financially. Attendance is obviously important in that respect. Volleyball led the OVC last year in home attendance. Football was number one in the Pioneer Football League in attendance. We were in the top half for men's and women's basketball and had a couple outstanding crowds with the Murray State men's game and the women's game against the University of Kentucky to open up the season. But I know that you obviously are cautiously optimistic moving forward, and there's always more room for fans and larger crowds here at MSU too.
Attendance is really important. Paid attendance is even more important than
Right.
that. And so it's just, again, you have to create value for your product. People have to want to be part of it. There are lots of things you can do with that, and we've probably tried them all at one point or another. But ultimately it boils down to, do you enjoy watching the event? Do you want to be there? Have we priced it in a way that you can afford to be there? And can you sustain that throughout the course of the year? Once you have that base in place, you begin to work very hard on all the people that are in and out. The attendance is really important from our students, so they don't pay direct fees to be part of, to attend games. They have free admission, but it's very, very important that they're there to help create an environment. I think people want to be parts of things that are fun. You might want to go to a movie. That's fun for you, perhaps. Maybe it's just going to dinner or doing whatever it is you do. We want our athletic events to be kind of held in the same mindset. It's an entertainment dollar in many respects, but it's very rewarding to watch fine student athletes perform at a high level in an exciting way. And if the environment is such that you've left there not only just watching the game and enjoying that, but enjoy being part of that experience, then I think you have a better opportunity to come back. So lots of strategies, things going on to try to continue to enhance that, and we're just hopeful that people are very deliberate about knowing when we're playing, particularly at home, and will be here to support.
First-class facilities are obviously important to any Division I athletic program. Wanted to ask you about a couple specific areas, not only important for fans and attracting high-quality coaches and attracting the best student athletes we can possibly find, but wanted to ask you about the video boards in Johnson Arena, which were installed a couple days before the exhibition basketball season started last year. There's obviously some plans for a new volleyball facility, and I know you were telling me about a couple other facility upgrades and new facilities to possibly look for down the road.
You have to continue to move forward. You have to continue to develop your infrastructure. And so the video board project last year was a significant project for us. We were able to pull it off all through private dollars within the period of about 6 or 8 weeks, and I felt really good about that. Hopefully we haven't tapped out those resources, though, because we have lots of things we still want to do. We're going to, with the recreation centers opening last summer, we inherited some space in our building where the McClure pool and the Mac diving well were. We're going to convert that over to volleyball space. It'll be exclusive to them, with the exception of having the ability to have basketball practice in there if we need to. We're lucky that our arena really is not a municipal arena. It's our arena. So a lot of schools build basketball facilities because they share arenas with other interests. We don't really have that. So our basketball arena absolutely is sufficient for what it does. But it would be nice at commencement time, for instance, if you had another place that you could go without having to move your whole operation across campus to be able to practice. So we'll have that ability with that as well. The other couple of things that are a little bit longer term are baseball and softball stadiums that we absolutely know we need to build. We need to reconstructing what we have is probably not feasible for us. So we do need to build new facilities. We have the property at the old Sunnybrook Golf Course that we plan to develop for that. There are some things that have to happen before we can build it. We have to have ingress and egress that's appropriate to that area. Right now there's a one-lane bridge that's not going to be sufficient to not only get construction equipment across Triplet Creek, but also once it is done, to get just buses across and handle fan traffic and all that kind of stuff. So the infrastructure part of that has to happen before we can really construct new facilities. But we're working on that really, and this baseball hire is going to be very, very important to helping us generate the kind of interest in dollars for those projects. And then the other thing that people will probably begin to ask questions about, because they're going to see a lot of earth moving, is a new intramural field that's going to go right in the, I guess, on the west side of Breathitt Sports Complex, sort of in that Gilly Lawn, Eagle Park area, and there's a sidewalk, some stuff that runs through that. But that field will be built. We'll have the ability for our soccer team to practice on that facility. And that will be in full swing by the time football season rolls around, and soccer season rolls around. So it'll be a little bit messy for a while, but it's all part of progress. Very excited about it.
Brian Hutchinson, the athletic director at Morehead State, with us today on MSUEagles.com. And Brian, on Saturday, June 9th, we had the annual MSU Athletics golf outing at Eagle Trace. I don't have much to compare to from previous years, but I know that you and some other people who've been around the department were saying that you were very pleased with the turnout and the positive support that you get from that event.
Yeah, our paid teams were more than we've ever had in that event, and we were really capped out in terms of not overcrowding the course to the point that you just couldn't finish the tournament. It was right on the verge of going into 2 flights, and that's our goal for next year if we're able to do that. I'm very pleased that we do those golf tournaments, not because it raises us a ton of money. It does raise significant dollars, but it's more to just be able to connect with a constituent group. We ask all of our student-athlete alumni to come back. There are lots of parents and business partners and others that are all part of the people that we ask to be in that event. It's a great opportunity to interact with our staff so that we can show some appreciation as well. We don't give great prizes. We don't do a lot of stuff to sort of enhance the event. It's really there to generate dollars for our student-athletes and those programs that support them. So we're very pleased with how it was run this year. I was very pleased with our turnout, and I'm sure that at the end of the day our revenue from that event will be very, very high. We'll continue to do those kinds of things just to be able to continuously engage a group of people that are really important to us.
Outside of supporting the golf outing each year, just talk about some of the ways that people can get involved, whether it's an alum who wants to give back to his or her alma mater, whether it's somebody in the business world that would like to become a corporate partner. I know the short answer is to get a hold of Darian Westerfield, but if you could just hit on a couple of the things and ways that people can get involved with Morehead State Athletics.
Yeah. Well, the short answer is to reach Darian Westerfield. He's the point person for a lot of that. But and Darian, particularly on the corporate side of things, will be very, very adept at answering those questions. But from a private giving standpoint, there are lots of ways through MSUEagles.com, through the Morehead State University Foundation. By contacting any athletic staff member, they can always point you in the right direction there. All of those gifts are tax deductible, of course. If you receive goods or services, there's some portion of that that's not tax deductible. But it is critical in today's world that we generate as much as we can external to the university. We have to generate private gifts, we have to generate corporate sponsorship dollars, and we have to sell tickets. If we can do that to a greater degree, we have a better chance of enabling our success or sustaining our success in certain areas. That's Darian's absolute focus, and it continues to be one of my focuses, particularly as we get into these facility projects.
I wanted to ask a little bit, you've obviously been away from the office here in the spring and summer a little bit, representing the athletic department in a lot of work functions. I know you're involved with a lot of committees across the country, whether it's NCAA or National Collegiate Athletic Directors Association. You do some stuff with the FCS Football Athletic Directors Group. If you could just maybe hit a couple highlights of those, and then the annual OVC Athletic Directors meetings took place down in Tennessee not too long ago as well. Just kind of what's discussed, who's involved, and some of the committees and ways that you represent the department externally.
Yeah. Spent 3 years on the Division I Recruiting Personnel Issues Cabinet, the roll-off of that committee within the last year. That was a very rewarding experience for me. You really are able to shape how we do our business in the NCAA. I think that much of the work that we did when I was part of the committee is now sort of coming to fruition. We're deregulating in a lot of areas that I think really were hindrances to us being able to do what we needed to do as Division I institutions. But that time is over. I still do represent the FCS Athletic Directors Association. We have some meetings coming up in Dallas here in just a little over a week, I guess, about 10 days from now. And looking forward to going down and talking about some of the issues that we're facing right now. The biggest things that we'll probably deal with continue to be a playoff expansion, which we know is going to happen now in 2013. That means a lot to the Pioneer Football League, because it will mean that we'll have an automatic bid to the FCS playoffs. Our champion will. We've had access to that, I guess, technically, but it was quite a bit of a long shot for that to happen. So now if you win the league, you're going to play in playoffs. That's a big deal for Pioneer Football League schools. It's a big deal for Morehead State. And I think that our group has successfully advocated for that. But we're also talking about FCS branding and how these new NCAA changes impact just how we go about our business at our level. At the OVC Athletics Directors meetings, probably the couple of most important things that I took away from that meeting there were lots of nuts and bolts type issues that we dealt with, but the big picture items had to do with tournament access and seeding now in a 12-team league. For those sports that have 12 teams sponsored in our league, how do you deal with that? The OVC's written lots of stories about that, and there'll be more information coming out on this website about that. But also the basketball enhancement plan. We've been very fortunate. OVC's only one of only 9 leagues over the last 4 years to have a win in the Division I NCAA men's basketball tournament. That's significant because of the revenue that it provides, and we were able to carve out that money for a fairly long-term period of time to try to enhance men's basketball. And I think that just getting that formula right was very important. We were very deliberate. I was part of a subcommittee that helped to develop that. So it's serious for us to be good at what we do, and we've got to bring the league up as a whole. We can't just be satisfied with where we've all been. Even those of us that have had some success in the postseason. Everybody has to be really good and trying very hard to be good. And the basketball enhancement plan, I think, is a step in that direction. And kudos to our presidential leadership. Dr. Andrews was absolutely forefront among that, and our Commissioner Beth Bush in pushing that initiative.
Well, Brian, we certainly appreciate your time today on MSUEagles.com, and we'll be checking in with you frequently as we get ready for the 2012-2013 school year.
Thanks.
That's Brian Hutchinson, the athletic director at Morehead State, and we'll have more videos throughout the week as we get ready for the upcoming school year.